keeping records. This is another thing that I think is so underutilized by beginner gardeners. I have like 43,000 pictures on my phone, and I'd be willing to bet that a third of them are plants. It's like my garden, my children, my business. So that's definitely a way that you can keep record of things. Every single month, I go back through my phone and I will look at, like right now, yesterday, I pulled up June 2021 to look at what my garden looked like. And then I'll type in at the top, June 2020. And I'll look at the pictures of my garden and what that looked like to see how are things looking then? Am I even on track? Oh yeah, I should have planted that because that did so good. Such a good reminder for me of where I was and where I want to be and those kind of things. Keeping a journal. You might have a little garden journal. If you really like really neat and detailed things like that, they're super cheap, like on Etsy. I bought a whole gardening journal thing that I could print for like $2 and it's so detailed. A calendar. If you're a person that doesn't really want to write a whole lot of stuff, doesn't keep up with it like that, you can take a little flip calendar and just write on the date, like planted beans, harvested whatever, like harvested 5 pounds, planted okra, did this, planted too late, got nothing. Yes. And you can look back over next year, I can flip that calendar and be like, oh yeah, I should have been doing this already. Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm ahead of the game. This is going to be fabulous. And that can really be something that's helpful and doesn't take up a ton of space. You can put it in a filing cabinet, pull it out every year, and it's super, super simple. You could do a combination of these things. You could take pictures and have a journal if you like, and have a calendar. And when I say journal, it could literally be a little composition notebook
for sure.
that you put the date on. Anything like that is super, super simple. But keeping records is really going to help you to compare or to even know, am I on track? Y'all, I promise you, last year, I barely hand pollinated anything and I had no issues. And I just saw my first bee this week in my garden. I've had to hand pollinate every single thing in my garden since March. And I've had flowers all winter long. There have been calendula and Indian blanket that came up as soon as it could have, and they're just not there. So keeping that record and knowing plant extra flowers, do more for the pollinators, didn't have a bee until May. That is going to be helpful for me next year whenever I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to plant these things and the bees are there, and then something happens and they're not.
Charity, don't you find too that your garden journal, to me, it helps me build my confidence as a gardener? Mm-hmm. Everybody, we're all probably right now like staring at our tomatoes, like begging them to turn red. You know, are you red yet? Anybody red yet? But if you document in your garden journal when you planted and how long they're going to take, you will count. And we're probably, at least for me, I'm another 2 to 3 weeks away from red tomatoes. If I didn't know that, I would be convinced that there was something wrong. I would be convinced that I had done something wrong, that I must not have a green thumb. Everyone else's tomatoes are red. My tomatoes are not red. But my garden journal is going to tell me, nope, you got 3 more weeks, Kelly. Like, hold on. Like, they're going to become. So it builds our confidence too, which makes us want to do it more.
And especially if you're growing unique things. Unique things all have different time to harvest than other things. I grow a lot of peppers in my garden. The habanada is one of I grew it last year. It's my favorite pepper. But I'd also grown sugar rush peach peppers, and they are this tall and massive and thriving and doing so good. And these habanadas like this big, and I don't do well, and you grow slow, and all the things. And I'm just judging this little habanada plant. Part of my garden journaling is me standing in front of a spot with a seed pack, taking a picture and knowing that's where I planted that. Because I have kids and they pull all the labels out and then you never know. So I will literally stand with my pack right in front of where I take it, take a picture. And so I had them there with me when I had transplanted them, and they're 120 days to harvest for a habanada. Whereas the other peppers were like 85 days to harvest. So that's a whole like 35 days longer that you have to wait just to harvest these things. They ended up being my all-time favorite pepper, and I love them. They're so, so good. They have great flavor, and I will always grow them. So keep records. They will help and encourage you.